business will be approval of the minutes.
I don't have any questions, at this time on those minutes.
We have a motion for approval.
Okay, sorry, Sherry.
That's okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
So moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. New business, the first one is the Pekin Betterment Association or Organization. We've had, requests from them for, I believe it's a net loss of $3,468. It had been requested before, but was not itemized, I believe was the problem, right?
No, it's the first time it's been sent in.
Has everybody got a copy of it? If someone will read it.
I have a copy.
Long story short is the Pekin Betterment Organization is the committee for the 4th of July celebration, and they are applying for funds that were lost because of the COVID pandemic. They missed out on some income from fundraising events to a total loss of $3,468. Is there any discussion?
I will put in that, that loss was due to COVID. Okay? Because they didn't get to, have as much going on because of that, so.
I guess they actually have broken it down into two figures. There's the $3,468 for 2021 and $1,192 for 2020. I think
So I think what they're actually asking for is it the 4,500 at the top, grateful, but we are down about $4,500 over the last 2 years right there.
okay. Let's use the $4,500 figure then. I think the Pekin 4th of July celebration is an important event for the community. It's going on for a long, long time. For discussion, if everybody, does anyone have anything to say? Do the commissioners have anything to say?
It's very, very obviously eligible.
I'll make a motion to approve the $4,500 for the Pekin Community Betterment Organization.
Been moved, is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to advance the request for the Pekin Betterment Organization to the commissioners. Hopefully for their approval. Next order of business is the Salem Rotary.
I'm gonna look for that, because I'm
Well, I
not
don't
sure
have
I
it.
have it.
You have to have that.
Which one you got, Mark?
This is the one that's dated January 17th. Washington County Commissioners, COVID-19 pandemic revenue losses.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, there is a representative from Rotary Club here, Mr. Aaron Weller. You'll probably want him to come front and center.
Good evening. I'll answer any questions you all have, but the club has 3 primary fundraisers throughout the course of the year. We have the Natty Dollar Dance in the spring, actually in February. We have the Washington County Dunk Tank that the club runs, and then we sell parched corn and apple cider on all 7 days. And due to the pandemic, we've had revenue losses related to each one of those events over the last several years. So what we're asking for is consideration for revenue replacement in that regard. I'm the treasurer for the club, and we totaled that up at $4,653.92. And I will point out that the club also donates a portion of our proceeds that we gain from that to other civic organizations and nonprofits in the county. So you kind of get a large bang for your buck here. In that we're participating in giving those funds back to other organizations throughout the county.
How much was the amount again?
It was $4,653.92 in that income loss.
And that is the amount you're asking for.
That's correct, yes.
Would you give me that, please?
$4,653.92.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Weller?
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Does anyone,
Thank you.
Do you guys have any further discussion on this? I would make a motion to approve this.
been moved that we approve the request from the Rotary Club?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded, and opening up the floor for discussion. No discussion, we will take a vote. All in favor of approving the Salem Rotary Club for $4,653.92, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Third item on the agenda is the Chamber of Commerce. Is there anybody here representing the Chamber of Commerce?
Sorry.
No, we've had that one for a while. Yeah. What was the total on there? We're looking for a total on the Chamber of Commerce.
He doesn't have one, so just go ahead to the next.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the same.
We will table any action on the Chamber of Commerce. Old business, Master Gardeners. One of our original requests, do any Master Gardeners here to speak?
lost two fundraisers. One of them was our, annual plant sale, and the other one was our garden trip, Washington County. I'm not sure if anybody's been on that. It's one of our bigger fundraisers, and both of them, combined was $1,800. And our group, we donate money to, our Eastern schools for the popcorn patch. We do stuff at the YMCA. We also decorate the square. And then we also donate also to the 4-H, so that's what our funds go. Plus we do other fundraisers.
What was it? What was your total amount?
$1,800.
1,800.
Yeah. $1,000 from our plant sale, and $800 from our garbage that we lost. Appreciate your consideration, thank you.
Roger, you failed to mention one of the most important things that you do, and that's the flowers around the courthouse.
Well, I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Courthouse, and inside and outside.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tools, I'll be popping up anytime.
Any other questions for Mr. President?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there a desire by the task force to proceed with making a decision on this one?
I'll make a motion that we approve that one, we pass it
moved.
on.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing no request for discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That request will be forwarded to the commissioners. Next one is Southern Indiana Search and Rescue. Is there anybody here representing them?
If you could use the microphone, that would be awesome, because this is gonna go up online and no one can hear.
Oh, well, that is.
No, yeah, I know, no, I got a picture of you now, buddy.
Next.
I turned in I guess a secondary request or kind of main request. I don't know if you guys received that or not.
We didn't, thank you, it was a very nice job done explaining it.
Thank you. Do my best to answer any questions you guys might have. I think I put in there, we were founded in 2017, so obviously coming into 2019 would have been our second year into what we were doing. We had some fundraisers planned, and that kind of got cut short. Obviously, we weren't able to get out and do anything, and then with COVID, we did see a rise in folks getting out and doing things, and that did kind of pick up some of our business, so to speak. So, and then listed basically is just some items that, you know, we kind of put together, we thought would help be beneficial to us in providing what service we're trying to provide.
Your group does go throughout the whole county, wherever you would be needed, wouldn't it?
So our main area of coverage is Washington County. We are kind of headquarters in Gibson Township, but we are in the process of picking up some mutual aid agreements throughout other counties, but our main focus is Washington County, yes.
Have you asked any of the other counties for assistance in this, or just Washington?
No, just Washington County. We just formally linked up with Clark County here at the beginning of the year, and Scott County, we're still in talks with them, so we haven't really kind of got to that bridge, so to speak, yet on funding.
So you're basically just trying to work as a rescue squad for the whole county.
More or less.
I mean, you can provide assistance to other fire departments in that time of need, or?
Yeah, so our main goal is to provide a secondary resource to many law enforcement agencies, fire departments, anything like that, where, you know, manpower, additional equipment, things like that. You know, wherever we're needed, we'll try to go. Obviously, we are a volunteer organization, so, you know, just depending on what time it is and what we have going on, our availability, but our goal is to go wherever we need.
So are you basically trying to set up your rescue squad with, like the fire department starts out with their trucks and engine pack, what have you?
Yeah.
But equipment wise, are you in a starting stage or?
Yeah, so, we did just receive from the ambulance board, the decommissioned ambulance. We have a little bit of gear, but everything that we have has been donated either by members of the team or, some other folks. Which it's all pretty close to being outdated, so I mean, technically as far as gear that I would say is super reliable, that I would trust, we're pretty much at ground zero on that. So, I mean, the equipment we do have, like I said, is donated and is reaching its retirement phase, so, we're basically at ground zero on equipment.
One of the things in a rescue squad and in a farming community with these grain bins and accidents there, does most fire departments have equipment for?
So in Washington County, there are, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 volunteer departments that have, the rescue tubes. The extent of what all they have, I do not know, but I do know that Salem does house the, fully stocked trailer. It has, I think, 2 tubes on it, rescue saws, the helmets, rope bags, and stuff like that. So, there is some equipment in the county for that. But as far as, like I said, outside the extent of what, so we have the Salem, I don't 100% know, but I do know a couple of departments that have some tubes.
I have a question.
Sure.
When we started this whole deal with all this money, it had to be related somehow to COVID, okay? And, I realize that, or the way I'm understanding this is, you don't have these supplies now, is that right?
We have a little bit of used equipment. We have a couple rope bags, like I said, are getting close to their date. Any type of life safety rope has basically a life limit on it. So we do have some things. Like I said, it's all been donated by most of our team members. It's coming up to its date and time where it needs to be retired. But that's, like I said, there's a few little things on here that we do have, but most of it is new things that we need to get to make sure that we're not putting somebody on a rope that may break or somebody in a rescue basket that's outdated.
Do you have any idea about, your rescues prior to COVID? The amount, and then once COVID hit, how that changed, the number wise?
That I do not have on hand. We were working on getting all that put together, but I do not have that on hand this evening. I'm sorry.
Okay, Max, I have a question. So basically, if this equipment were to be purchased, it would be stored at Gibson Township?
Yeah, so it would be, like I said, the ambulance board was gracious enough to donate us the decommissioned ambulance here last month, I believe. This equipment would be stored on that truck at Gibson Township for our members to respond to the station and pick that up and respond to wherever the scene may be. You know.
Thank you.
Any further questions from Mr. Gannon? We'll open the floor for a motion if there is one.
I think what they do is awesome. And I don't wanna take away from that. I'm just. So we can plug that in as COVID related, is that? I mean, guys,
I would almost say you would have to qualify the same as what we did at fire departments.
okay,
I mean, to be honest with you,
okay,
and in the fire departments themselves, our biggest struggle anymore, countywide, statewide, countrywide, is a manpower shortage. And for the dedication that they're willing to commit, I think they would have to be treated as a fire department. Now, is that COVID related? I don't know. Is it countywide? It has to be taken under consideration. And in the emergency that they're doing, if they're training right for the health and safety personnel, and they're willing to go out on a limb to furnish whether it's Hardinsburg, Gibson Township, Delaney Park, John A., Delaney, 135. I think most of us know Max, and I think he's very well dedicated, and I think his group is too. We can look for no's. Yeah, easy. Same as we can look for no's on every one of them. But at the same token, I think we have to look for yeses too.
oh, well, so I think that's obvious from tonight, so.
So as the fire departments, we designated 15,000 from what I'm looking back at. So basically, is that something that we might want to propose?
Say it again, Anita.
15,000, that's what we had fairly done with
I know
the,
it's short, but yes,
Yeah.
I think they have to be considered.
considered to be the same.
I know you were gracious enough to help the fire departments. I'm sure they appreciate it.
We do.
When you were talking, how it could be COVID related, and I heard in earlier conversations with the fire department that you know you had trouble with some of them, the volunteers didn't wanna mingle and mix out in the community because of the COVID, so I don't know if that's justifiable or not, but it sounds to me like it is.
I'll make a motion that, we give the 15,000 same as we did with the fire departments.
Been moved that the end of search and rescue be given $15,000. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I ever get lost, I expect to see you out there.
Yeah.
Good. That's the end of our agenda. Do you have, or the commissioners have any business you need to bring up?
We had a few come in that were after the agenda was done. The town of Pekin had another request, and then we've got one from the sheriff's department. So those are the new ones. If you have any old ones that are back there that you wanna go over.
What is the, I've got one here, it looks like it's 3775 and 3900 from somebody named Kevin.
Oh,
Yes,
light.
I just got at the end of the day.
That was completion on lighting for the Board of Health out there at the government building. We put lights on the backside to protect the drivers when they first come in on the parking lot. And we didn't do nothing to the front side. What I call the front side was the back side of, actually the front side and the back side. And it would actually furnish, lights to the front side doors of where the prosecutor, public defender, probation, also entryway into the board of health, behind the jail. And one set of lights would actually be going up to the back side of the jail. But basically, it is for the security of the health department. Even though, this is over with.
How is that COVID related?
We done light it for the Board of Health because they was concerned about people might be still on COVID vaccine that they had in the building. On the back side, we took it, but we didn't do nothing on the front side doors. And they were wanting more light on that building, which enters into the Board of Health. And I really don't need to talk about any more of the geographics of the building itself for help.
Basically, it was beefed up security for the COVID medicines.
Looks like it's about, south of 8,000.
Could you remind me when the second draw of money comes in? For the,
It's probably gonna be April, May.
okay, I was thinking it was, okay.
And Sherry, if you don't mind me interrupting, you all asked me to come back to this meeting once I got the quote proposal done in my presentation from last month. So that's what's before you.
Yeah. What's the big group of people that's here
Big group of people.
in the back?
Those are our sheriffs, so be on your best
Correct.
behavior.
So I can go out and speed now, is that the
No, there's still some out there.
So what's that in relation to?
I think you've got a packet here that they sent in.
We
I
do?
got that.
Yeah, it was
today,
just-
So I hadn't had a chance to send it out.
This is the one that, what the county commissioner comes.
Yes.
Well, how about if we do this?
I would suggest you probably just let me talk and we'll take it under review for the next
Okay.
meeting.
That's what,
Let this group talk next, and then
well, we invited her back.
Yeah.
And take her first.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Yes, well, I was very happy that the representative from SBS Portals was able to make an on-site quote of the research room that's in the basement here of the courthouse, once he recovered from COVID. So, in the packet, you will see there's actual pictures of records and their locations throughout the county. At one point, there were 16 locations throughout the county, and we now have it down to 3 locations. So there's actual pictures of the record that's above us in the attic, and then at the Williams Building, you'll see that the records at the Williams Building, they are hazardous. They are covered in mold and mildew. So we could not actually scan those on site in my office. And then the next several pages has the actual research room downstairs that I'm wanting to get those bound books scanned and get that room vacated. As you can see, the courthouse is needing storage for other material. For instance, if today, if a researcher went in there to pull any of the books with all the projects that's going on currently in the courthouse, there were plans where engineers were in there using it today. So if a researcher actually needed to come in and utilize the room for its purpose, they would not be able to. And then again, I cannot be at multiple places. So, they realize that, and so they are not, doing the face system and writing down anything that they are, copying. So again, we're down from 16 locations down to 3, and we're wanting to get down to 1 location, which would be the portal, which would bring us up to the standards of our surrounding counties. That's something that we were wanting to do, with the last, administration of the clerk's office. And then we realized how imperative it was when the pandemic hit and we were deemed essential employees. We could not keep people from those records. So unfortunately, we had to put our safety at risk, my employees, and the safety of the public at risk to be face-to-face and get them those, records. I discussed it last, month that when there's a records request in our county, we're pretty much paying our constituents and outside of our county to obtain those records. Because we are not, only a portion of our records are digitized. So again, prior to the pandemic, we wanted to get them digitized to make it better public access, but then it became apparent, with the global pandemic that we didn't have that we didn't need that face-to-face, encounter. But unfortunately, we were deemed essential, and then we could not, deny them their records. And with the pandemic, when it initially hit, everybody who had a common law wife or partner or what have you, we were getting flooded for marriage licenses, for copies of marriage licenses, for legal purposes. So actually the access for records and the records request went through the roof because everybody panicked, with the unknowns with the pandemic. So attached, you will see the multiple quotes from SBS portals. And so with the research room downstairs, our circuit court files, and our Williams building files, we are at $184,447.18. I have been in discussion with because of the candidates who have filed and Judge Newkirk, who is retiring, I have been approached by, if we could just say, would be the Superior Court judge, that all the files that are in Superior Court, which are my responsibility, they're going to be wanting those scanned. Those are file folder files, and I do have one employee who's the records deputy who can scan those. But I will be using some of my clerk's funds, which as of today, I have $67,880. I will be using a portion of that fund and some of my 4D child support fund to scan those records and also the attic records. So as far as the other records that are throughout the county to get us up to speed and to keep us safe and efficient and effective, the total on those quotes are the $184,447.18. And that's the total. And that will bring our county up to where we should be with our surrounding counties and the accessibility, to where we should be safe for any future, increases in this pandemic or any other public health crisis, that needs to be limited to face-to-face contact. In 2009, Odyssey was developed. Odyssey is a court software that all 92 counties in our state uses. So from 2009 forward, everything is digitized already on a daily basis. But since this courthouse was built in 1888, records were made daily here. And then at our Superior Court. So, and they're all forms of media. It's like anybody's family albums at home. Some people have slides, some people have 35 millimeter, some people have, today's standards, they're trapped on their cell phone.
Stephanie, do you have a timeline on this from the company, to clear out the basement?
They will come and take possession of all records, and that's what they do. They have a hazmat room where their scanners are in full hazmat gear, so they will go to the Williams building, and they already have everything indexed, what type of book it is. They will give me a copy of that index, so if we do get a records request, I can look at that index, and they will actually bring the book back to me, or make a copy of it that I need, and they'll email it to me, so that way we can fulfill that records request. But they will actually come, in that quote, they will come and get all the books, and take them and scan them, and then they will upload them to the portal, and then they'll also give me a hard copy that will stay, one in my office in a safe, and then they will keep another hard copy. So if for some reason the infrastructure of their portal would be compromised, then we have multiple locations of digital files.
And this is COVID related because,
If it's a digital image, then for instance, if it's a researcher, they do a subscription to the portal, a monthly subscription to the portal.
okay,
So then those researchers do not have to come in to this courthouse or come into my office and go through books and find what they need, and then we copy them, and then we certify them, and then we make that transaction.
so it keeps people, able to get their records, but not coming in contact with your employees, nor you with them.
Right, for
Right.
instance, during the
So,
pandemic, we could not be closed to the public. We tried that for a portion of time to honor our executive body, but it became apparent that we couldn't keep going outside
Okay,
and going back and forth. So for instance, if they needed their copy of their marriage license, then we would have to go get the book, make a copy of it, and then, if they came in, they would have to go through our security, come into the lobby, get the copy. So it was face-to-face transaction, hitting multiple people as they came through. So this would be just a request. It's a digital, and we would send it to them through email.
and did you say that the 67,880.58, your office, your funds, your budget is gonna pay for that? Is that what you said?
That's my current budget as of today. That's my current fund money for the clerks,
Okay,
fund.
okay,
And so under state statute, I can use that for records, for computers, for equipment. So since I do not have a quote, and I've been approached, as I'm assuming the new Superior Court judge will take office in January, there's a game plan there, and they want all those records to be gone out of there. So I have assured that they will be scanned, whether through my own deputy and using my own funds. So I just didn't want you all to say, well, why is circuit court on here and there's no superior? Because I have two different judges I have to answer to. The circuit court judge, his employees are working on getting stuff scanned into the portal. They have access to it, but then there's records that they can't keep up with since we've opened back up in the court system. There's cases going on.
What eventually happens to these books? I mean, you're gonna digitize all of them, they're gonna be on a computer somewhere. What actually happens to all the books?
The books that are at the Williams building will be destroyed because we just don't want to take them back there, and they just continue to mold. Now, some of the books, the Indiana State Archives and Records Administration, they will take some as well, if based on their historical value, and they will store them themselves, and they'll restore them. I mean, some of the books downstairs, the prior clerk spent $15,000 rebinding the books. That did not help public access. That did not help them to be lighter for my employees to carry around and damage equipment trying to copy them.
But you're saying they would be given to a state facility, you would not house them anywhere here?
Right, for instance, in this courthouse, which is now the assessor's vault, there are floor to ceiling metal files drawers that house from the beginning of a court session here in this courthouse. They house, there's a picture of them, and I brought one last time, that one I believe was from 1908. They house their envelopes, that's what they used at the time. So, as soon as from Indy all the way down here, that there's no county that's in red, and they'll open back up their appointments, and a state employee from the Indiana Archives can travel, they will come down here, inspect those, and they will take those in their possession, county property, and they will restore them, copy them, digitize them, where we still have access to them. We can go to the Indiana State Archives. For instance, in the 1940s, there was a caseload to record birth records. For those who were born at home, they would have, we've talked about, a lady who came into our office wanting a passport. Well, we found out that the state had came to Washington County in the early 80s and took possession of all those books and digitized them. So there's no cost to the county, and we have access to those records. So when I came into office and we audited everything in the county, any book we could find, even we took statements from when they took a chute from the attic and ended up historical books are buried in our landfill. They took a chute and they took trucks and dumped them in the landfill. Somebody happened to stop by, and the gentleman with the John Hay Center, he has them in his basement. Because they found them when Day Auction Company did an auction in a home down here on Brick Street, they found them in the attic. So it's just chasing down segments of different cases that are throughout our county, but these are books that we need to get scanned. And I believe there's the 5 other counties who have done it, and it is COVID related because it's public access.
Right.
But you really won't need those books any further,
No,
so to speak, because they're all going to be digitized.
correct. And as far as, I want to vacate the courthouse, upstairs and then downstairs, vacate the Williams building, that's my top priority, because I have books that are in my storage room, in my office, that will be the last priority to be scanned after circuit court, and then it will be on to Superior.
Any further questions?
Because I know these 3 guys, and, they hear this every time the clerk takes office about these books. I was able to get a grant and purchase the portal because of COVID. Just for instance, like my election equipment, my Franklin booth was purchased grants because of COVID. So, they'd be almost excited to have me vacate the courthouse. It's almost like selling your home and moving, and you leave all your belongings at the old home. And you're like, hey, excuse me, I need to come over and get some of my stuff in your basement. It just so happened there's positives that come out of this pandemic, and this is one of them when it comes to these funds.
No further discussion or questions, we will entertain a motion if one is to be made.
I'll make a motion for that. I realize how important it is to be able to get those records. I think I was one of them that actually needed the records during the pandemic, so I appreciate your work out there.
Well, when it comes to the Williams building and the attic, I feel like I'm the captain of the ship. I will not allow my employees to go over there. I always masked up prior to pandemic to go in there with gloves on, to enter the Williams building, to enter my room, to get any kind of adoption records, or you can see the pictures on the books. They're filled with mold.
All right, is there a motion for the amount of $184,447.18?
I would like to do that, I just figured it out.
Yes, we need a clarification on what amount we're talking about. I'm a little confused on it. Is it the total 184?
Yeah, that's the total of the quotes we have.
So the 67,880.58 will be coming off of the total?
No. The 67,880.58 is the balance of my clerk's fund as of today. I'm using my own money, that 67,000, to cover digitizing Superior Court and the attic.
I see.
Because those are two quotes that are, I'm just looking into the future. I know January 1, I'm gonna be approached that all those file cabinets in Superior Court need to be vacated.
So you're
And the ARP committee probably won't be in existence then.
So you're gonna take care of your
We
portion.
get another, well, I'm sure we can't hear.
Okay,
We
that
would
might
last
be
forever.
fine.
They may not want us back.
Yes, they might fire us.
All the motion needs to have is the 184.
Right, that's what we have before us and that's what we know.
That's what I made a motion for.
It's been moved, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded, any further discussion? Years ago, when I was in county government, they were always looking for a place to stick stuff. I mean, there was just no room.
Well, and I think over the years, that 184, 447, 18, that's probably 3 times that amount of the money that's been wasted on every clerk who comes into office. They changed the way, and that's when the Secretary of State, Holly Lawson, came to my office on Friday for a visit. She took a tour of the office and looked over the books just in my office. And we discussed that it needs to be a state governed thing, you know, when it comes to records.
How long is that? How long will that quote be good?
The quote, he has given me several quotes and they are still all in effect. I've confirmed the quotes, because he even gave me quotes in 2020 and in 2021. And they're all still good.
Are we out of money, Kyra?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that money all gone the first draw? Because on this page, it's got negative.
If you take out the 2 ambulances, that leaves you with 399.
Okay, then,
399, 590.
okay, then
So with.
we got 373 after tonight,
After what you've done so far.
before that. Right, confused me. Okay, so 373, 636, 61.
Thanks, Jerry.
You're welcome. Thank you. Did somebody second that?
I did.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're approving that then, the amount of
184, 447 and 18 cents.
Before you leave, Stephanie,
Yes.
is there gonna be any problem maybe waiting till May or June till our second tranche?
That's what it is.
No, I think if it's waited since 1888, I don't think it's gonna be a couple more months. I mean, my thing was when I leave office, I wanted to get us, quit beating the dead horse and.
Yeah.
And we'd be digitized up to snuff and nobody have to hear about my stuff in the basement or the attic or the basement at Christie's, and I got that wrapped up.
Been a long time coming on
I
that.
made Burl happy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
no, I don't think it's going, as long as it ain't in May and it's not in November.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys talk.
I mean, it's not fair that we just now get this.
Yeah, some of them, they don't all have a cable.
Are there, certain ones in the group that are going to speak?
I know I am, I don't think anybody else wants to.
We just have one of you get it spoken, please.
We just got this tonight.
When you the one that typed this up,
Yes, I am the one that's submitted it.
Would you come forward?
Before we get started, I do want to thank the commissioners for all they did do during COVID to help us, providing us with protective equipment, giving us the hand sanitizer, doing what they needed to do to help us keep working.
Would you speak your name for the audience so everybody knows?
Tammy Shanks, they all know. Also, I thank you guys for doing what you're doing. What we would like to do is ask that county employees, the frontline workers, those of us that still work 40 hours a week plus every day during this COVID, put ourselves out there among the public every day, still dealing with them. We're still there 24/7. 911 don't stop because there's COVID. People had to be in there. People had to answer those calls. Every call that comes in there starts with their dispatch. All of our officers still had to go out, be with the public, do what they were doing. We had the jail. We kept COVID out of the jail for a long time with extra help from our employees. And I just think that they should be compensated in some way for the work that they did do, the hours they did put in, when others were not working. I'm not saying give them the maximum of anything. Some of this money is earmarked for that. Other counties have done it. Businesses have done it. Your grocery stores have done it. I just think it will be a good way to build morale, shows these employees that you do appreciate them. And you know, you're glad they did it. And I think the only fair way to do it, and that would have to be through the auditor's office to get an amount, is to go by the hours each person worked. Pay them so much per hour for the hours they actually worked during that time, instead of paying somebody a certain amount across the board.
So,
That's what I'm asking.
okay, can you explain it a little bit more in reference to an amount of money that, do you have any kind of figure of amount of money that you?
Not without knowing how much each person worked during that time. I know everyone in our department still worked their 40+ hours a week. Other departments, I don't know. Now, the clerk's office, they had 1 or 2 people working. I don't know about other offices. Ours never stopped.
So you're not just talking about your 911 sheriff's department. Are you including the whole county?
No, I'm just saying they all did it. Sheriff's department was there 24/7. Now, I'm speaking for the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Hello?
Well, all them guys, if you want to talk to
I
them.
mean, are you talking about just the sheriff department?
Yes, at this time. You know, I'm not here to represent the whole county. I'm obviously not the whole county. I work at the sheriff's department.
Thought you was.
No, I don't want to be.
They're wanting premium pay. That's what it's called. Premium pay for employees that went above and beyond during the pandemic.
Yeah, we exposed ourselves to the public every day. We had inmates coming in, going out, we're all around them. We were all there every day, we never missed a beat. Our officers were still out there with the public every day.
And Sherry, if I may interject, it's the premium pay under the ARP funding is max $13 an hour, 25,000 max per employee. And we have ran reports before based on when the commissioners shut us down until the time they opened it up, and ran the reports off of Right Stuff, that's what we were under at the time, under our time tracking software. And it wasn't an astronomical amount of money, but it was sufficient just to give us, I mean, our county was hit, our morale. We were still having to work. Some departments were down. I mean, I tried to keep my employees, to keep the morale up during putting on an election, and then had to bring them back. We tried to schedule, but you know, with the sheriff's department and whatnot, I mean, it's 24/7 and they were understaffed as well at the time. So that's something that you all might need to be.
Plus, we had to add a caseload because we had to go outside, meet with the subject, they weren't allowed in the building. Officers had to go outside, take reports.
Well, we're certainly not in the next 5 minutes going to decide.
No, and, you know, like I said,
What
I
I would
haven't
like
had it
to
all.
have information-wise is not just for the sheriff's department, because the highway department's gonna say they went out of their way, and they probably did, and other departments are gonna say they had the same problem. What I wanna know is what the total amount of money is going to be, if there is some sort of a premium payment plan.
Yeah, I think there is an amount listed in some of those papers that I gave you, from the least amount to the largest amount.
That's why I really need a chance to look through it.
I think we have to be,
And I'm not saying.
yeah, I think we
Spend it all
have
on
to
that
be
stuff.
really, really, really careful with that. Because I mean, we couldn't be in the county without these people, and I appreciate them so much. But we have to be really careful about the pay, the premium pay, because what are the other county offices that were essential as well? I mean, you know, I know you're here for one. You're here for one.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they can
She
come to the
actually said
meeting.
frontline workers. She actually said frontline workers.
Yeah, it's frontline, I mean, we're considered
It's
frontline
not
workers,
essential.
everybody's
It's
essential.
frontline workers.
But not everybody had to be out doing this. County highway, they only got called out if they needed to be. Rick stayed up there, took phone calls, if they got called out, then they got called out. They weren't there 40 hours a week doing the job. But they were getting paid for it. I think it would be a good morale booster.
Well, and once again, I want to thank everyone also, but I think that's the fact that we would need to have some kind of financial
Right.
number tied to this if you could.
Access to that.
Yeah, and who do we ask to get that for us at
I
this time?
assume the auditor's office would have that.
Brent should have.
Well, Brent May, he was gonna come, but he actually is waiting for the jury to come out. They're deliberating right now on the trial, and he had to be there, so.
Yeah, he would actually have all that.
And he may have that.
Okay, so I make a motion that we table this and try to get that information to us by the April meeting,
Okay.
so we can feel better about.
You always have
Decision.
the first Tuesday of the month?
Mhm.
Okay, at 6.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very
thanks,
well.
everybody, and we do appreciate what you do. We will duly consider it.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Is there any,
anyone else? Go ahead.
is there anyone else here that would like to speak, or was here for another reason, or?
They're just supporting me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good support.
We are a very good.
Good for you.
We're a family.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Hey, David. Yeah,
Hello.
nice, show up late.
Yeah, we'll continue on.
We're at the end of the agenda,
Good.
the expected.
I come at the right time.
I surrender the chair to.
And we did.
No, you keep it.
Is there any further business we need to do?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
Well, we kind of just sidelined the story about the county lights.
Oh, yes. Or was it?
Did you have anything?
The COVID connection is a protection and elimination of the area where any potential medications are kept. The total cost is just a little south of $8,000. Is there any discussion? Or
Okay, Phil, can you clarify for me, Phil, that you said it was the front of the building, and this is where anybody coming for a COVID test or anything enters, and do they need it because of the daylight hours and all that kind of stuff to have extra lighting because they were open late to have all that occur? Or, I mean, I know that it's,
It's very few people enter from that side of the building.
they do,
Everybody
okay, the
on that-
security issue.
which side are we talking about, north or south?
North.
North, okay. Is there access to the health department there? Isn't that one door down the stairs, right? And then around the corner?
And we go there not to reveal all this. It can be got to through that door and the 3 doors on top.
So this is just for lights. Is there a security camera at that door?
There's cameras on the back, there's no cameras on the back. The jail itself, the Justice Center has cameras. It would be open on the backside of the jail, where the cellar goes in, coming in that side, but it would also be taking care of the front side of the back.
I want to make a motion that we table it so we can let David and everything get into it unless you want
I'm just here to listen.
to, okay?
Make a motion to table?
I want to make a motion to table the consideration.
Motion made, table. Is there a second?
Philip's wanting to say something.
With the numbers we've seen tonight and the report tonight, David is on the ARP committee. I think all of you do need to read the one from the sheriff, and it'll take a little while. There's some concern there. We've got some others. Keely does want to talk about a ready program, and I would like to compile the numbers we've done tonight. Also, I'd like for you to do the investigation on the sheriff's report that he done. And I guess, I don't
catch that part.
I really would like to wait till the next meeting before we finalize anything here on the final. I think it'd be best so we don't commit something we don't got or something like that. And I would like you guys to look at the one that the sheriff, and I think there's gonna be some consideration of what's done there.
Will Brent get us some information with some numbers on it?
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
He will.
Okay.
I bet there's at least one person in every department that considers themselves frontline, including.
There is. And to be honest with you, Washington County, I don't think the average people understand what our county employees have went through during this COVID. Whether it's a highway, the sheriff's department, the EMS, the 911, the clerk's office, the judges, their staff. I mean, we didn't shut force down either. Those people were forced in there. I can go on down the line. The auditor had people coming in, the recorder had people coming in. Who knew what they had? And they had a mask. People, we asked them to work. And, you know, I appreciate all the work they've done. And the average person don't know. We had some COVID cases in our employees. And we took all the precautions we could. But some got it.
Well, you know, I was kind of surprised that the ambulance service hasn't asked for some sort of a premium pay.
Okay.
I mean, certainly they're frontline.
Yep.
People in the offices that had to meet people, I think would probably consider themselves frontline.
There's,
And I'm not against doing that, but.
and this is a touchy situation, but and you're right. But like I said, the clerk had people coming in. We were shut down very long, or very short, and we reduced staff there for a while. Then we went back to staff, we asked everybody to wear masks, and then we put masks back on, then we took masks back off, then we put masks back on, then we took masks back off.
Am I right?
I mean, we've done this for 2 years now. It's been a fiasco. Everybody says, why can't you make up your mind? You can't make your mind up in this. It's flip-flopped every which way we could.
I think that there's a potential for a lot of hurt feelings, and while it may be a morale booster to some people, it may not, it may be just the opposite to other people. And I just think we need to go real slow.
You're right, and that's why I'm asking now that we don't make a hasty decision tonight.
I agree.
Well, so far the committee, we've had requests for lost wages from other businesses that have asked us for funds, and so far we have declined to do that at this time.
Yeah.
So, I agree, we should table things.
And it's gonna get tricky here before it's over with. So, I'd like for Keely, if you wanna talk a little bit about your, so the ARP.
Sure. It's not a request of mine particularly, but for those of you who don't know, I'm president of the council. My name is Keely Stingle, and I just wanted to bring to your attention the READY program, which we had talked briefly about another time. But as you know, Washington County sits in between two regions, the ROI region as well as the RDA region, that have both applied for READY funds, which is basically the state's way of spending their CARES Act dollars. And so there is 2 different regions that we're part of, but I do just want to highlight one of the projects, at least one of the projects within the county that has been submitted to the group, the regional group, which is the airport project. So if there's any intention on providing a local match for any of those projects that were submitted for READY, whether that be at the county level or at the city level, just ask that you would be considerate of those. John Meade was here earlier, but he's not to be able to answer any specific questions about the airport. But that is something, as we have projects from our community that have been submitted to those regional groups, it is something to be considerate upon whether we are going to provide the match for that, and if those match dollars would come from the ARP funds. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about that?
So this is a plan where there's a need for a larger size pipe to go to the airport, right?
They have several items on that request that they've provided. I want to say there's up to 8 or 10 items on there. Todd, do you have a copy of that?
Somewhere.
Okay.
It totals.
They gave us a copy of that at the
Okay.
beginning.
Okay.
There are 11 items totaling about $780,000, give or take.
Do you know what the city's gonna do?
No, I do not.
They've not made any indication of whether they intend to go to that point or not?
I'm
The
not
reason
sure.
I'm interested
Yeah.
is there are 50 families, as I understand it, that have horrible well water out there that are in the county.
Are you talking about near the airport?
Yes.
Okay.
And water and sewage treatment is a big part of the ARP plan.
Right.
And I would like to, personally would like to see, I have no stake in that, but I think that's bad that if there are 50 families in that area that can be served with good water, which seems to be a rare thing around here. But, you know,
At the moment, there haven't seemed to be some water issues. That's
that would be something I would be interested in supporting.
yeah. I think that.
I'm speaking only for myself.
Now, Doc, do you know if that was in the list of projects that?
I believe
The
it
airport
was,
submitted?
that's been a while and I'm getting older.
It was.
Extension
It
of
is.
Sewer,
Okay.
sewer and water, through the, road, they're going out that way.
Okay.
And, we basically said our funds would be hinged on whether they extend that water on out for the rest of our additional customers. But, they had asked for airport hangars, and that's for the airport, and we're having a hard time putting that in, because it doesn't match into any of the criteria for that, so. but
Now, the water
sewer-
infrastructure wouldn't
The
it?
sewer and water, and also, redoing the road after it's put in are out. But,
Okay.
as far as our stance in here, our guidance to the commissioners, we've held that day unless they extend on out to pick up additional customers. Not just stopping at the airport, but going in and extending.
And are those the customers you were talking about, Doc?
Yeah, I believe they are.
That 50? Okay. Well, certainly, I think that would be something worth considering, and I'm not sure what the total would be, but John told me that the airport did get some allocation from the infrastructure bill, and the infrastructure bill is not going to be sent to the communities much like ARP and CARES Act were, so we won't have as much, I guess, access to those funds as what we have had with the other funds. But it does seem that the airport has received some funding through the infrastructure bill, so you could have some conversations with John and the rest of the airport board to see what amount is really needed or what they would be requesting.
Any other discussion on the part of the board, ARP board, or task force? Anything, Commissioner?
I want to say one thing about that airport. I think when John gave us that quote before, he made a statement in there that within just a few years, they would get some return from the federal, isn't that right? He told us that.
I think that was part of this conversation.
Yeah, so I might actually want another one of those quotes that he gave us in the beginning. So I can look through that again, if you don't mind, or if somebody sees John or whatever, just.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. From my understanding, the list that they had submitted to the ARP committee were not projects that would be funded through FAA. So now the portion of the infrastructure bill that they received, that could probably cover some of those projects, but the other ones were not going to be eligible for the FFA or FAA funding that they had been expecting.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I understand how the airport has something to do with the entire county. I'm not sure I've got that connection yet, so maybe.
I'll let them plead their case.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or anything?
The extension of the water line with the airport was $278,000. Extension of the sewer line and lift station was $152,000. The drainage improvements for parking and storm sewer, $404,190. So, those are the only criteria that we have seen so far that would be eligible for that.
100,000 here, 100,000 there, pretty soon you're talking some real money.
About $700,000.
That really doesn't impact the whole county though, right?
And they're not, as I remember, it was not that they expected us to fund that whole thing, it was for us to be available for 5 or 10%. I don't remember the percent match.
Yeah, up to 20%, I think would be what they would expect, but they won't know on the Ready grant funding for a while. I did just talk to the organization that has been tasked with administering those funds and working with the RDA board. They told me that as of last Friday, each of the project leads have a form to fill out, which identifies where their funds are coming from and how they'll be using those funds. So that included John with the airport board, and it also included Tammy Gibson with some of the city projects like Lake Celinda and a housing project that they have put in. And so they'll have to have, David, like you mentioned, the cost estimates, they'll have to have either a PER or a cost estimate of those particular projects. And then they have blocked off, River Hills has blocked off 3 days, next week or the week after, to talk to those project leads if they need help filling out the form. So we've got John and Tammy both right now that have that information and trying to identify where the funds are going to come from and how they plan to use those funds. So they won't know for a little while until they get the funding from the Ready program. So the next step after they submit those forms would be IEDC would be meeting to look at the eligibility to make sure it was an eligible use of funds, which this would be for CARES Act, and then trying to identify other state funds for that particular project. And then after approval from IEDC that just says you can fund this, it will go back to the RDA, and then the RDA will make a determination as to if they'll fund that project and at what amount. So it could be a few months before we know if the airport is going to be receiving ready funds.
Did the RDA state grant anything?
Do what?
Did the RDA, did they grant anything today, Clark County?
Not that I'm aware of. From my understanding, these projects have to have those project sheets filled out, and they have to get approval from IEDC, and that's just now starting. So from my understanding, they're not at a point from even knowing the project's eligibility to receive that funding.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
One quick thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you just some very small homework.
Okay.
I don't wanna skip over anyone because we have, approved some of these nonprofits. And I would like you to search back into your file and look at, Delaney Park and the Washington County Farmers and Merchants Fair. Real short and sweet, not much homework, I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate what you 5 people are doing, I really do. We all do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate everybody coming. Let's do our homework.
I'll make a second.
Move to second, we adjourn.